everybody! How you guys doing? Welcome to another stream of mine. My name's Ian Robinson, if you don't know. And welcome in, everybody. What's up, MJ Sculpts, Keo, Casey? What's up, Joseph? How you guys doing? Welcome in. So here today, we're going to be doing just this more of a regular stream today where we're going to be tidying up Pickle Rick a little bit. So covering a lot with some cloth and some detailing, probably some spotlight detailing, which would be really, really cool. I'm just going to go ahead and get my music started here. Usually have a little something happening in the background. But how's everyone doing today? All right, let's get into it. So of course I have the chat open as well, so trust me, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And let's get into it. Let's just start sculpting. You know what I need? I need my tablet. I need to put my tablet on. That's what needs to happen. Oh, what's up, Beck? Hello. All right, let's go ahead. Got my pen. And let's start doing some stuff. All right. So just so everybody's aware, like this Pickle Rick started out as a Pickle Rick, and then somebody gave me the idea to do a Doctor Strange cloak. So that's why we're adding the cloak. But I want to finesse the cloak a little bit more. I want to get some details on the pickle itself. Then I want to start kind of like prepping stuff for a pose. He's still very much in blockout phase. I tend to take a long time to get my blockout phases going the way I want them to go, but at the end of the day, like, I would rather take time on the blockout and encourage you to do the same, and that way you get exactly what you want, how you want, when you want. So let's go ahead and let's prep him right here in the corner so he'll just stare at us in a very weird way. Shift S for that. Sweet intro. Cool way to use some time lapses. Absolutely. Thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah. New intro. Got to get everybody prepped, excited. That's how we do. It's how we do. So, all right, let's get into it. First things first, I would like to add a little bit of texture detail to this pickle. He looks very plain and ominous and just like, it's kind of boring. So let's go ahead and isolate the pickle aspects. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on V2. And I'm just going to turn everything else off but the pickle. These subfolders are really, really good if you're trying to organize, or you don't want to hit solo, but you do want to work on something very specific. So this is a really good spot for that. So let's go ahead, and I also want to show a really cool technique off right in the beginning, because somebody asked me very recently about being able to apply alphas, but if you know how, like, right now, so we'll just do a clear example. If we do a drag alpha, and then I'm like, okay, I want to have like this right here, and I drag this out, well, I can't move that alpha anywhere. Like, that alpha is stationary. So if I don't like the alpha there, I got to hit Control Z, and then I got to go ahead and drag this out. Well, so kind of to answer that question live, actually there is a stroke called drag rec, and what this drag rec does is it actually takes your brush size into account. So if I know I want my alpha to be about this big, and I place this alpha down, I actually can now move it around with my pen and find the exact position that I want this alpha to be in. So if I actually would like this alpha to be there, and then I just drag this out and I start positioning my alphas right where I want. So this is a really cool way to kind of come in and start getting some detail and not worrying too much about the specific location. And of course, too, that is also controlled by the intensity. So if I drop the intensity down, I get a much softer alpha, and then from there we could just start placing where we want. So that's a really cool feature. Just wanted to call that out really, really quickly because somebody asked me that. So I thought, hey, let's start the stream off with that. That being said, let's actually see about finding a pickle texture. And I think I downloaded one. So let me go see if I did. And if I did not, then we'll find one. It does not look like I did. So let's actually go ahead and find one real quick. And so for this, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'll pull up a new tab here real quick, and let's go ahead and just type in pickle texture into Google and see if we can find something that's close to what we want. Very cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this image, and we'll put this in my pickle Rick. There we go. So I'm going to save this here. I'm a Pickle Rick! Look at me! And invisible wear. Yeah, perfect. All right, so we got our pickle texture, and what I'm going to do real fast is, so we're going to go ahead and, let's look at that image first that I downloaded. So I'm going to yes, perfect. There is my pickle texture. So now I'm going to go up to texture. I'm going to go to import, and we're going to find that pickle texture. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I'm just going to click it one time because now this is actually, this has brought up the texture itself here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on texture, and I'm going to say make alpha. And that is one of the easiest ways to make an alpha. And then from here now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of test drag this out and see what this looks like. So let's actually increase the intensity. And this is pretty small, so we're gonna go with a bigger brush size. And that might be a little harsh. So let's drop the intensity. Let's find something that we're gonna like. Might work out pretty well. Or what we could do, actually, let's just go ahead and add it to the spotlight. Let's add this to the spotlight. This will probably be an easier way to go about doing this. Yeah, there we go. Let's increase this here. Let's hit Z for that spotlight and bring this here. I'm going to scale this up a little bit. There we go. Yes, beautiful. And now I'm going to go ahead. I can try to tile this if I would like by increasing the H tile and the V tile if I wanted to tile it, but I don't want to in this case. I want to keep this just like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to use the regular dots with no alpha. I'm going to turn off symmetry because that's not what we want. And you can see here I'm going to start getting some weird texture. So we're going to start adding just maybe these little bumps and dots. Let's drop this intensity. And please feel free. Yep, go ahead. Oh, later do Evil Morty? Yeah, okay, we might do an Evil Morty. I like where you're at. So let's go ahead and let's prep this here. Oh, you know what? I hit spotlight. There we go. Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and just get the idea of this down first. So you see here, I'm not getting all the full bumps that I want. That's okay. I just want the main texture itself. And I'm going to go ahead and actually place these in random spots, and then we'll emphasize some of the dots later. We don't have to get it all correct in the first go. I'm just painting that detail on there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take clay buildup or the clay brush. Let's actually take the clay brush, and I'm going to go ahead and start without RGB turned on. I'll start emphasizing some of these dots or these little bumps on him. Or let's see what clay buildup does a little bit better. Ooh, I think Evil Morty would be really awesome to do. So we'll definitely have to play with that in the future. We will be having a How It's Made series coming up very soon. I asked the community not too long ago if everybody here would like to see some sort of like How It's Made series with character building. And so we have something in the works that's going to be happening very, very soon. So announcements will be coming very soon. Hey, what's happening? Hey, new follower here. Saw you on the interview with Ashley. Big fan. Thanks for sharing tips. Absolutely. And welcome in. I'm so glad you could make it. And just like we were doing with Ashley's stream yesterday, if you have any questions about ZBrush, feel free to ask. Or you just have any questions about artistry, feel free to ask, and we'll answer them as best as we can. But thank you for being here. That's so awesome. And I'm glad you enjoyed yesterday. Yesterday was a lot of fun. A-Cube is just such a wonderful, talented, hardworking artist. So it was fun to be able to connect with her. How do you know what the limit is between realism and stylized? Try to model a toy, but I tend to put too many details. So that's a great question. And honestly, when I work with anything stylized, what I would say the best thing to do is actually just go ahead and I would say just go ahead and if you start seeing it pull towards towards realism, you probably have just way too many textures on. So for example here, like you see all these little bumps and nicks and stuff like that. When I'm going for a more realistic approach, I definitely would like a lot of the smaller details. Stylized is a little bit more simplified. And notice I'm saying simplified, not simple, because there's nothing simple about stylized. It's just more of the fact that You know, you want things to read well, so you're usually going to exaggerate features. You're not going to try to nail big, full proportions. So I would say definitely try to lend yourself to be a little bit more, like try to keep the resolution down a little bit more so you're not pushing such high details. Like here, this is 870,000. That's almost too much. I could probably actually dial this back and kind of clean some of this up. I don't want too much detail or too much texture. So you could keep things a little bit more simple. But there is a fine line. There are artists out there that push those boundaries, and it's okay to do that. So, you know, it's all about finding what works. So don't be afraid to just play. And if you see something that you really, really like, awesome. Like here, I've already abandoned ship on using that little texture spot. That just got me started, but I wasn't ever going to go real fully stylized or realistic with this piece. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to kind of see where your piece is headed, and then if it's not in the direction that you want, go ahead and dial it back. And then the other thing too is pull reference from other works, other artists that are doing the style that you're trying to mimic or pull inspiration from. And as long as you're within the realm, you should be fine. So also working with a fresh eye is going to be very, very helpful. Look at that. We already got some stuff on him. Got stuff and things. What up, George? What's up, Daniel? Pickle Rick! I love it. Hey, wanted to get in ZBrush for Games art degree, and ZBrush use a seller called Kivito. Is that the right one? If you wanted to get into ZBrush, here, let me go ahead and send you the more links towards Maxon. And then if you're a student, you actually will have access to the $9 for every 6 months version, if I understand that correctly. Yeah. All right. So let me go ahead and let me send you to the student license first. So if you're within a EDU, don't forget too, there's also, like, if you're just trying to get into ZBrush for the first time too, we also have ZBrush Core and we also have ZBrushCoreMini. So we definitely have, and for those who are new to ZBrush like completely, ZBrushCoreMini is completely free. You can see here, all of this was made. This one was mine. You can see all the stuff that was made within ZBrushCoreMini, and you can actually 3D print a lot of this stuff. This was Daisuke. This was Joseph Drust. So you can come here and actually click download, and I will send this link here straight in the chat so that you guys can also download that as well. Of course, I need to pull up the chat. Boop. So let's come here. Yeah, so yeah, it's just converting it. It says USD because you're looking at it from my side, and if it says it on the website, then I think the conversion process will happen when you sign up and create an account. Hey, I just want to say thank you for the tip you gave me the other day on sculpting directly on the UVs. It helped a lot. Cheers. Lewis, cheers. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, go ahead and definitely get started with there's ZBrush Core, there's ZBrush, which, you know, especially if you're, because ZBrush is in over, I want to say 10 plus industries. Yesterday was previs. Toys and collectibles is where I came from for a lot of my stuff. And then you have architecture, you have jewelry, you have concept art, you have comic book illustration, you have book illustration, actually. So illustration in general is being used widely. And then, of course, too, you have games, film, VFX, all the other industries. And then there's more, too. Automotive, it's used in aerospace. ZBrush is used in a lot of places that you wouldn't quite expect. So it's definitely worth checking out. And if you just want to get the ZBrush feel happening, definitely click on ZBrushCoreMini. It'll give you a great representation of how ZBrush actually functions without all of the crazy sliders and features here. You're just given a ball or a cube, and then you can sculpt on it. And then when you like it, you can export it out to OBJ and 3D print it. So how much of a difference is there between ZBrush Core and ZBrush? So ZBrush does have a lot more features within it. It's hard to say all of the differences, but I would say like it's just more of a stripped down version. So as an example, you do have Zremesher within ZBrush Core, so you can Dynamesh things and then go ahead and Zremesher, but you won't have full control of how the Zremesher works. It uses the best algorithm that ZBrush already has. So little things like that you won't be able to fine tune, but I used Core for a very long time. Like I used Core for about 2 years before I got into the full version of ZBrush, and I can absolutely say that you will be able to translate the skills on over and get into full ZBrush a lot easier. So that is definitely a place to start, especially if you're just getting started. But if you are just getting started and you went ahead and you said, I'm going full ZBrush, that's what I'm here for. I can show you how to get started real quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say that this detail is actually pretty good for what we would like to get going. I would say, too, just to specify a little bit more clearly, ZBrush Core, I would say ZBrush Core is probably about, if I were to give a percentage on it, I would say ZBrush Core is about 35% of what full ZBrush is, but it's the 35% that most artists use. Just to clarify that a little bit more, just to throw some mathematical random numbers at you. All right, perfect. Okay, so this is about where I'm going to want to take him from now. And now I'm thinking we need a pose, because right now he's mostly blocked out, but there's no sense in, I'm not going to take him, like I don't need to take him any further than this at this point in time. Unless, let me check the concept to make sure I'm not missing anything, but I think we're about ready to pose. Let me pull up my pure ref. Okay, so there are a few things here. That's one of the original statues. Okay, here we go. Okay, actually, I do need to make this look more like a rat's foot here. And then one hand is pink, the other one is white, so I can clean his hands up a little bit because they look funky-dunky. But we are going to be posing his hands. So I might use the Dynamesh method to make a fist, because I'm thinking this is the pose I'm going to want him to be, but maybe a little bit more conniving or maniacal, or like this still looks very boring to me, but I do like the idea of it. So we might push this a little bit further and get something a little bit more aggressive. So yeah, I would say, okay, we need the rat's foot, we need the rat hip, so we need to add some fur, and then that should about cover it. Okay, perfect. So let's focus on getting that stuff in, and then we'll move on. Okay, so let's go ahead and station him here, and then let's start getting the main rat foot itself done. And what we could do with this is we can actually just kind of cover this up a little bit. So let's take the bones. We don't need this bone here anymore, so I'm actually going to go ahead and just delete hidden. We don't need that. And now what I need to do is actually just make this section a little bit bigger. So I'm going to isolate this with masking, and then we're actually going to split mask points. So I'm going to go split mask points. Just another way to split things off. Now I'm going to hold control and scale, and what that's going to do is kind of inflate this a little bit. I can just scale if I want to, but I'm trying to avoid clipping on any other part of the mesh. I just want thickness at this point. So now I'll take the move brush, and let's start shaping this to be more of a actual leg. So we'll get the calf muscle out. Push this down a little bit. And just to give us some color, let's go ahead and sample this color here, which is gray. Let's just fill that object. I could also just come over here to the screen grab and also have grabbed the color as well. That's also very neat and handy. I'm going to do a relax smooth by holding shift, starting smoothing, and then letting go. actually going to go ahead. I don't want this tucked in. I actually want this to be, this fur to be up a little bit. So let's check my concept out. So keeping it nice and loose. And actually this cape is going a little crazy. So I'm going to select, actually let's just go V1 and let's just turn off the cape for a second. Because I want the whole body, but I don't want the cape in the way. Cape is in the way. There we go. This is why, too, when you're blocking stuff out, it's really helpful to just keep things nice and low, because you can just manipulate that shape and move it around. Okay. And I'm actually going to tuck this foot in a little bit. There we go. We'll end up adding some fur and stuff here in a little bit just to emphasize that kind of stylized nature. We can do for that, we can just keep it simple too. We don't have to go crazy. We can use SnakeHook, and then from here we can go up to Brush, and we can go up to Curve, AccuCurve. And we can start pulling out areas in which will give us a little bit more of that kind of pointy look. And if we have this Dynamesh, which that's what we're going to do right now, so we're going to Geometry, Dynamesh, Dynamesh Polish. It's going to give us some pretty cool results. Just pull this out. We don't need no fancy brushes. We just make our own. Perfect, perfect. And welcome in everyone who's coming in. Doing some Pickle Rick action right now. Now I'm not worried about its placement so much. I'm just more trying to get the shape of that kind of fur coming out. And then go ahead and re-Dynamesh that. Do a light smooth. Now I can take the regular move brush and I can start positioning this how I want it to be. And then let's say I like this little bit sticking out here. Little bits. But I don't want to move this top part here. So I'm actually going to go under Brush. And I'm going to go under Auto Masking. And then we're going to do Backface Mask. And that's going to help me kind of pull that shape back a little bit. Connecting these. Thinking about the 3D print process, if I decide to 3D print this guy, we might just go for an illustration this one time. But at some point, I always 3D print my stuff, so. Yeah, perfect. So that'll give us that main shape, which is perfect. And we're going to do something very similar here with this guy right here. So and actually, since I'm thinking about it, since this is also fur, let's go ahead and do that exact thing. Polish, Dynamesh. Ooh, that might be a little dense. Let's pick our picker and find the resolution. Delete lower. So if you go to Geometry and you go to Dynamesh and you grab this picker, you can actually figure out the resolution based on the scene. And then you can Dynamesh there. And that won't super, you know, that won't go super crazy. There we go. So now we have something very similar to this. What is that, Matt? Hey, Seagull. Pickle Rick. I started another Pickle Pickle Rick. What else could? And they did. Morty. Exactly. More money, less money is one of the key differences. Yep. Let's see. Ian feels like I just saw you last night. Hey, Leonard. I think you did. I think you did. Hey, what's up, Rush? What's happening, dude? Welcome in, man. Welcome in. Happy to have you here. Is ZBrush easy to learn? ZBrush can be very easy to learn, yes. The way I teach it, I try to keep ZBrush very simplistic to its basic core. So if you are trying to get into ZBrush and you're not quite sure and there seems like there's an overabundance of information out there, we have a lot of resources. This is resource number 1. I can walk you through how to get started within ZBrush very simple. The idea, the way I like to teach it, is that ZBrush is a program that you can end up playing with and figuring it out. There is a lot going on in the UI at first glance, but I can even show you right now how simple you can start in ZBrush. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. So, oh, you know what? Let me back this up for a second. I'm going to go ahead and isolate this one part. And I'm just going to go ahead and split hidden, and then I'll show you what we're talking about. So let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to save the project. That's what I've been working on lately. What does Dynamesh polish? I mean, what's the difference? So the difference is Dynamesh just merges things together, but it will tend to kind of soften things up a little bit. Dynamesh polish will actually find the edges and keep things nice and crisp. So if you're looking for stylization, that's a great way to do it. So let's say, so we're going to go ahead and just reboot. We're going to go ahead and just reboot ZBrush here. I already saved my changes. So this is how you can get started in ZBrush right now. So I'm going to go ahead and load up ZBrush for the first time. And it's going to go ahead and propagate a screen that most people are familiar with. If you load up ZBrush for the first time, you're actually going to get this home page that splashes on. This is just a nice reminder to let you know that there are things within ZBrush, like streams that happen on a regular basis, the industry spotlight with AQ last night. This is what's up here. And then our ZBrush Live, which is actually what you're watching right now, which is artists like myself, and then other artists, even those who don't work for Maxon, they come in and they volunteer the time to showcase how to use ZBrush in the way that they use it with their pipelines and their industry. Like I was saying earlier today, ZBrush is in over 10 plus industries, and it is the leading industry standard for sculpting, for digital sculpting. So it's definitely the program to get into if you're trying to get hired into studios that use ZBrush, like AAA game studios. So now you're here and you're like, what do I do? How do I get started? Right? This is where a lot of people kind of stop when they load up ZBrush. I would like to introduce you to the very first thing you're going to see, which is projects. And ideally, the best way to get started is just double click any project here, like this default cube. And now you're ready to start sculpting. That's it. And this is what I encourage new users to do. Is just come in here. Your brush palette is right here, so you load this up. ZBrush ships with over 200 brushes, I think. That might be a little low. ZBrush has a lot of brushes. You can find your brushes here in the brush palette for a good chunk of what is commonly used. There are other brushes buried up here. If you open the spotlight up by hitting the comma key on the keyboard, then that's actually going to bring up this, and we do have a brush section as well. So there are even more brushes, but not to overwhelm. You just have your brush palette, and then just start playing with what these brushes do. Up here at the top is where you can have your intensity and your draw size. So you can just start kind of playing with it and say, well, that one does that. Okay, that's cool. And then clay buildup, what does that do? Ooh, that builds up. Okay, cool. What does dam sander do? Okay, that cuts. And so just playing with this, just fiddling and working with it is just going to help you kind of understand the UI. To move around in ZBrush, you actually have a bunch of features here on the side. You have the move tool here if you just wanted to click this button to move, this button to zoom, or this button to rotate. But the way a lot of ZBrush artists use is the Alt button. So if you just click anywhere in the blank canvas and just with your pen or mouse and start moving around, that's what that's going to do. Click and press, that's going to move. If you hold Alt, click, that's going to pan. And while you're panning around, if you're like, I need to zoom in and out, you just let go of Alt. So while you're learning those controls, just note that they also live here as well, right here on the screen. And then if you want to know what anything in ZBrush does whatsoever, and this is the final tip I give new users, and then I just have them play, is that if you hover over a feature and press and hold Control, that's actually going to tell you what that thing does. So if you have no idea what draw size does, press and hold Control. If you have no idea what live Boolean is, press and hold Control. If you don't know what this material is, press and hold Control. Or just click on it, open it up, and you'll see here you have a lot of different materials that you can play with. You have matte caps and standard materials. Matte cap is materials that have light information baked into it, so the light doesn't affect it. So some people like to work with matte cap gray, and that's a good way to start. ZBrush defaults with this beautiful wax, this beautiful, amazing red wax. So that right there is something to do. How did you move if with Alt if you're zoomed in? So as you're zooming in this way, you just pick up your pen, let it go, and then rotate. If you're all the way zoomed in here like this, which I believe is what you're asking for, there's two ways you can do it. You can join the right-click army, which is if you have your pen or your mouse and you're zoomed in, just right-click and then you can rotate. Or you see this white. This might be a little hard to see based on this material, but that might even be worse. There, let's go. Come on. There we go. Let's go. Okay, right here on this outside, you actually have a white frame. This is so that if you aren't right-clicking, you can actually click out here in that white frame, and you can move around that way. So that's how you would do it. The right-click club, as we call it, or right-click army, is an easy way because it navigates the same way that pressing on a blank space would. So if I hold Alt and right-click, it pans around, let go of Alt, it zooms in and out. So this is really a good way to navigate. What makes right-click interesting is that wherever you're hovering on the material, when you click there, that's its pivot point. So you can add pivot points in all different locations. So when you're right-clicking on the material, just note that where that information lives, when you right-click, wherever that mouse is, that's your pivot point now. Whereas here, it's going to pivot around the last location that you touch. So if you touched here and then start clicking, that's its pivot point. If I touch down here, that's its pivot point. So this is how you can get started in ZBrush really, really quickly. And then I'd say just play. Don't worry about, I don't know anatomy, or I don't know what to make. Just start making stuff, because that's the beauty part about ZBrush, is that you can literally use it for whatever you want. And you can create whatever you want, because it's artist first and then technical second, even though there are a lot of technical artists like myself. Absolutely. And what I'm going to do for this stream here is I'm going to go ahead and what I will do is I will actually bookmark the spot on this stream as a how to get started in ZBrush, and then I will share that after the stream on my Twitter. If you look up IR Sculpts, that's going to be me, all one word, IR Sculpts, and then you'll find it, and then that'll help out too. I'll even comment the section or timestamp it in the comments below. What up, person? I'm about to follow. Follow, Seagull! Follow! Hit it! Smash that like button. ZBrush mud materials, my jam. Yes, that is a great one too. Can you make a quick face? A quick face scheme? You want me to make a quick face real quick? Here. All right, here we go. Here we go. Real quick. This is for all you out there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, that's the other thing too. If you hit B on the keyboard, that's going to bring up your brush palette as well. So you can really just go B, and then I want clay buildup, C, and then I want clay buildup. So that's B. All these letters here, if you say B and then hit another one, like what is the curve brushes, or what is any brush that starts with the letter C, then there's a letter attached to that, and that's the hotkey shortcut. So that would be B. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and make a quick face. And we're going to do it with Matte Cap Gray, just for fun. So I'm actually going to get the move brush, so that's BMV. And we're just going to start, we'll start pulling some information down. Now, I have sculpted a lot of faces in my time, so a lot of this is coming from just experience. But we'll kind of create like a little bit of an anime face. That seems to be already what it is. So that's pretty cool. All right, what I'll do is I'm going to just kind of come through here. I need to kind of get some information with anatomy. So right about, I would say, from here to here. Yeah, that's to be about where the eyes are going to be. So I'm going to kind of push those back a little bit. Now, this project file defaults with Dynamesh started. So if I went to Geometry, which is our tool palette on this right-hand side for anybody who's new to ZBrush, we actually have a menu called Dynamesh. And what this does is, as I'm sculpting, you're going to start noticing all the crunchies of this kind of topology here. It's going to look kind of interesting. If I go ahead and hold Control, it's going to bring up a masking tool. And masking tool is really cool because you can isolate certain things. But it'll actually rerun my Dynamesh process. So if I hold Control and swipe on the blank canvas and let go, it rebuilds my geometry on the fly. So really, really cool. And then any brush you're working on, you have a Z add and a Z sub. If I hold Alt, it's actually going to subtract or do the opposite effect. So if it's defaulted to Z add, Z sub will cut in. I don't have to come up here and press that button. I can just press and hold Alt, and that will do the same thing. So for us artists, we're just, Alt is probably the most used button on ZBrush users' keyboard, hands down. Hands down, I would definitely say. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of carve out the orbit area here a little bit. Our noses, they kind of come in just a little bit. We always get a little bit of an eyebrow. It's a little shelf. And then I'm going to grab the move brush, so that's B, M, and V. And I'm just going to go ahead and start pulling out the nose itself. And just get something here that I think looks pretty good. This is almost starting to feel like maybe Goku or Vegeta at this point. Now for Z Polish, I brought this up earlier. If I click this polish button and run the Dynamesh process, notice here, look at that. That's that stylized cheating. Look at that. I had this, polished it, and now look at that. I'm getting nice, sharp, clean edges. So this is a really great way to come through here, clean something up, polish it, and get that kind of like nice little effect. And then I'm just going to come through here, and I'm just going to hold the H polish, so BHP. What this will do is I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get some planar information with my head. Now I'm working in perspective, which is over here. And you can turn that on and off depending on what you would like to see. And then this is it. I'm already kind of getting something that it's not too bad. Oh yeah, when it goes to 2.5D. Oh, great question. Okay, hold on. So sometimes when you're doing your thing, you sculpt, you get thrown back, and it's no longer editable. What do I do at this point? Because the only thing I found works is exit and restart, but you lose your work. That is a great question. So yes, so ZBrush starts in 2.5D. So this is where what you do is at the top, you have this edit button, okay? For the first time, if you don't open up a default project in ZBrush, you have this method where you have edit. So if I click edit, it says your active mesh is currently in 3D mode. Would you like to switch to 2.5D? You say switch, and now you have this. Boom, 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 boom. This could be really cool, right? Well, what you need to do is that over here under tool, you actually have what I like to call our tool palettes or canvases. You can have a lot of canvases over here. Well, this 2.5D mode, this was what ZBrush was built off of, which is why it can handle a lot of topology than a lot of other 3D software. So what you do is to get rid of this first, this is just stamping. You hit Control N and that clears your canvas. Then what you can do is you can drag out your sculpt again. Whatever is selected over here, like I can select the star, I can select the cylinder, I can even switch to a simple brush and bring up other primitives by clicking the simple brush, cylinder, right? So you can have all this circle. So I clear this out. And this is what happens when you load a tool for the first time. It loads your project. You drag this out. And then you hit T or edit. So T on the keyboard switches it to edit mode. And then if it's already a tool that you were working on, it will put you right back in 3D mode. If it is a brand new tool, so we go to switch, Control N to clear. Brand new tool, you draw out a cube, you hit edit mode. You're now in a initializing state. It's kind of like the purgatory between 2.5D and 3D. And then you just come up here to say make polymesh 3D, which is right here under tool. So again, that's drag out a new primitive, edit mode, make polymesh 3D, and now this becomes sculptable. Now, just to give you a little bit of ZBrush magic here for a second, if you do this for the first time, and notice my canvases are building up here. If you do this for the first time, where you drag out something and you go into edit mode, you actually have some really cool abilities here on the side where you can come up to initialize and you can actually adjust and kind of manipulate the shape that you're going for. So you can get something a little bit more custom. And then you can go to make polymesh 3D, and now this object is a little bit more what you're looking for. So you can have a lot of fun with this. Yeah, the amount of time to restart it. You legit struggled with that for 3 months. I am so sorry that that happened. Yeah, but here you go. That's how you do it. So like I said, so just turn off edit mode, switch to 2.5, Control N, drag out your new object, whip, T for edit mode. If it's a tool you loaded or were working on, you're right back, or at the end, make Polymesh 3D, and then you can keep sculpting at this point. So, and then just to kind of finish this up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and use the damn standard to just create a little bit of a mouth. Just to get you guys started on what is happening here. And that's the thing too, if you accidentally hit T on the keyboard and say switch, that's probably how you've accidentally switched back into this mode. So just clear that out, drag that out, hit T again. And there are warnings that pop up within ZBrush. If you're doing something and hit a keyboard, try to read what's happening, because sometimes it's going to tell you exactly what's happening there. For example, if I hit the S and then I hit, where is it the K or the, let's say, SnakeHook, H. Sometimes when you hit a brush, it'll say, hey, this brush is best performed when you're using Sculptris Pro mode. This is so that users know that, okay, Sculptris Pro, well, up here at the top, we have Sculptris Pro. The reason why this brush works better with Sculptris Pro is that if I were to drag this out, you see how the geometry kind of breaks a little bit? And you're like, that's funky dunky. Well, if you come up here to Sculptris Pro, it's rebuilding and tessellating that geometry on the fly, giving you better shapes. So it's telling you that so that you actually know that you can start creating and optimizing, and it'll help rebuild that information. So look, so if we wanted horns, for example, just to be fun with this head, just go ahead here and start dragging out some horns, right? If we hit 1 on the keyboard, that'll do the same stroke. So you can come in and say, yeah, actually, I want horns. Brr. And then I want these horns to actually curl up. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling this shape. And this tessellates based on your brush size, but boom, you can start making stuff happen. And then, hey, I want to pull these up. I want this, and then I'm going to rebuild it with Dynamesh. And now I have some horns that are happening. If I just take my damn standard brush and I just start going wee like this, I can now start building up a little bit of a layer. So I'm like, okay, this is where the horns are going to be intersecting. And then I'll just take a move brush, and now I can finesse everything here. So again, within a matter of minutes, you can start getting shapes. And ZBrush works really well with the idea that you're getting shapes quickly, and then you detail last. That's the majority of sculpting. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Just to be caught up, let's see, just 1 minute. That's why I like ZBrush, multiple ways to do things. I don't believe it makes sense to happen. Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, awesome. Okay, glad I could help. I haven't messed with fiber mesh. I only use stylized. I only use stylized or use ZModeler to duplicate cell stuff. Usually happens when you're doing fiber mesh. Oh, when you're rendering with fiber mesh. Okay, I can see how that works. You like having my models 3D printable? Fiber mesh gets in the way of that. Yes, fiber mesh does get in the way of that a little bit, but if you would like to use fiber mesh and try to 3D print that a little bit, some of the stuff that you could do, this is going to require just a little bit of finessing. But let's say we did want to have some fiber mesh. So what you could do with that is you can come into fiber mesh, obviously, open up, let's open up one of our fiber mesh light boxes. And let's just go ahead and grab something like double click. There we go. Perfect. Close that down. So if you wanted to try to create something, a lot of the times when you use your covers, like let's turn our max fibers down, turn our length down a little bit. This is also affected by gravity. So we could turn gravity like off, for example, just have things straight out. What you can do is play with your scale root and your coverage to thicken things up and try to keep things plain. So like, for example, let's say I wanted something like this. Okay, this texture is really bad. So let's turn this texture off so we can see our geometry. So we can try to get something like this. This is a weird, let's see here. Let's try to get the profile just a little bit cleaner. In fact, I'd like to actually grab this dot, hold control, throw that out. Maybe scale this up so we have something like this a little bit better. When we accept this, we actually have some simple geometry. But if you wanted to try to 3D print anything like this, these are just single-sided geometry typically. We can actually go into dynamic, turn dynamic on, and then we can actually increase the thickness, maybe turn smooth off, and increase that thickness and actually have thickness. This is also a great way to get hair cards as well. But yeah, you're gonna have to clean this up a little bit, but just generating that thickness will probably get you started a lot better. And then from there, just I would say, go ahead and you can auto groups. So we'll go to polygroups, auto groups, and then you can go ahead and start isolating. But yes, fiber mesh is not, I would say if you're going to try to 3D print it, approaching it sculpturally would be a little bit better. But if you wanted to use fiber mesh to get you a lot of the way there, that's a way you could do it. Hey, what's up, Chris? Siegel, hello. Hey, what's up, Pershawn? Welcome in, welcome in. You could inflate and smooth down for printing? Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, but again, you know, it's all about, it's all in the process, and as long as all your mesh is intersecting and it is welding together correctly without a lot of holes, then you should be fine. But I would say, like, if I got something really cool with fiber mesh, that's how I would try to approach it. On demand. Yep, yeah, there you go. That's exactly how you would do that. Turn gravity off and you think in my best Dan voice. What's up? What's up? Hey, what's happening, B? Perfect. You're absolutely welcome. Okay, we're gonna go back to the pickle Rick. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit Control and O. Oh, real quick for anybody who's new with ZBrush. So just real quick, there are two ways to save things in ZBrush. You're gonna want to hit Control S by like natural happenstance, but Control S actually saves projects. And when you save a project under File, Save As, it's gonna save all of your palettes here. If you're working on one subtool palette, you're like, I only want to save this project, not this, or this. I just want to save this. Under Tool is Save As, and that will save a tool. So there are two different ways. I always recommend going to Tool and Save As to save a tool. But if you did what I did with Pickle Rick and you are saving a project because you're going to want to eventually do a cool time lapse at some point, and you have undo history saved, then that's how you would do that. But we're going to go here to open up our Pickle Rick project for this reason, and I have it right here, version 2. These files do get a lot bigger though, because it saves every information you had over here. If you're looking on my tool side, notice how everything changed. Now I have my helix, I have the screw that I built originally, as well as the just a fun little arm guard here that he has. So like I built separate tools off to the side that then I later propagated into the main one here for Pickle Rick. So that's the other thing too. Is there a way to save history but import into an older version of ZBrush? No, there is not. Right now, well actually as far as the life of ZBrush, any new version of ZBrush that you have, like so this is 2022.0.5, I can load a project from 2021 into 2022.0.5, but I cannot load 2022.0.5 project into 2021. If you want to take a file that you've worked on a newer version and open it in an older version, go to export and export yourself out in FBX. This is essentially the PDF in the digital world for Sculpts. It's universal for most programs. In fact, I cannot think of a program that does not use FBX. So FBX is universally accepted, and you'll save this out. You would say save, and then it's going to say, what do you want to save? Save all my subtools, maybe only what's visible. Go ahead and save all, and then exit that out, and then that's going to run through and start saving all of your polypaint information, your sculptural information, everything that is within this canvas, and then you can import that into any program afterwards. Yes, a ZBrush file, a ZTL or ZPR, it will not work in any other program that is a ZBrush only file. Proprietary, that is the word I was looking for. So yeah. For transferring from home to uni. So if you want to transfer anything home or back to work or to another school or something, just do this, what's happening right now, which is export out to FBX, and you should be fine. Hey, you're trying to create some Victorian-style dresses with shoulder riffled puffs. How would you suggest going about doing that? Ooh, interesting. Chris, that's a great question, and I think I have a solution for you. As soon as this is done saving, it is. Okay. All right, I have a solution that might work for you, and we're going to go with the easiest solution, and so bear with me with this one because I think you'll like it. So what I would suggest you do is you maybe create or insert a plane 3D, and let's just get rid of this cube for a second. There we go. So we have our plane 3D here. And what I would say you're going to want to do is use the bridge tool. And I'm not talking about ZModeler. So what I would do is take maybe something like the mask lasso, and I would create those little ridges and puffs. Now you're going to have to forgive the the super stylized. Actually, you know what we're going to do here? Let's subdivide a couple times, just to get some information, because the way ZBrush works is that you actually have vertice information or vertex information. Why am I going so small? I don't know. Let's keep it simple. So all the vertices that are connected, all the points, that's what's holding that information. So we're going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Whee! Yes. All right. This is going to be the slappiest, the sloppiest way to do this, but this is going to be the sloppiest puff. So take your time, make sure it looks really good. But what we'll do is you mask off the area that you want, and then Control W to get that going, so that you have a different poly group. And so then what I would do is go to deformation, and I would actually polish by groups, and let's just polish by groups to get a nice clean edge here. And then what I would do, pardon me, is I would actually drag up a second by holding Control and let's back that up for a second. Hit the gizmo by hitting W, press and hold Control, and drag out a new plane that duplicates any object that is not with words. It duplicates any tool that does not have subdivisions. I'm going to go ahead and close that by hitting Q, and then I'm going to press and hold Control and tap on the side to invert my mask, and then hit Control W to give me a different shape. And then from here, I can just isolate this guy, and then I'm actually going to, maybe mask out more of a circular shape, something like that. And then I'm going to hit Control W, and then we're going to do the exact same thing. Going to polish by groups. There we go. And now I have this here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to isolate this side and this side. So what I did there, I did that really quick, is hold Control Shift, and I'm going to tap on the poly group I want to hide. Holding Control Shift drag is going to go ahead and hide that, and I'm going to tap that middle one there. So I'm going to hide both of those. So now I have these two isolated. And I'm going to stay something within this region here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and either split hidden or delete hidden. That's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and delete hidden. Now I have this shape here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hold the brush, and then I'm going to get the CurveBridge tool. And what this will do is as I drag this out and I hold Shift, it's actually going to put a curve on the inside of that poly group. I'm going to let that go. Now I'm going to do the same thing up here. Drag, hold Control, let go. It's going to take these two shapes and it's going to do its best to actually bridge these two things together, creating new geometry between those points. This might take a second. Hey, what's up, Ninar? What is happening, Ninar? I did get a haircut. Thanks for noticing. So now I have this shape right here. I'm going to go ahead and tap anywhere on the surface to get rid of those curves. I'm going to now isolate this guy right here. And now this is also a really good way to get a dress too. But what we're going to do now is go ahead and delete hidden. And now I have this shape, but it's a little, it's a little weird here on the edges, and that's okay. We don't really need this right now. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take the knife curve. So holding Control Shift, grabbing knife curve. And when I draw these lines out, notice there's a shadow point. So the shadow point, that's the side that's going to delete that information. And I'm going to go ahead and just clean up these edges, just like that. Okay? And now what I can do is I can either leave this capped or I can uncap it. It's up to you, but that's what the knife curve does, is it closes holes. And then, so actually let's get rid of those. So we're gonna Control Shift, I wanna tap that, delete here. I'm gonna say perfect, maybe delete hidden. That would be really cool. Now let's ZRemesh this to get something a little bit more usable. Before we do, we'll go up to crease and we'll go up to crease polygroups. That's actually gonna crease all the framed edges. I'm gonna go to edge loop. I'm sorry, not edge loop. I'm going to go to Zremesher, detect edges, and we're just going to go ahead and say Zremesh at poly count of 5. That's going to try to fit 5,000 polys into this frame. Right now it's at about 35,000, so that's a lot less. And then let's just go ahead and say Zremesher. And Zremesher, just a reminder, anybody who's new with Zremesher, is that it will automatically utilize, it will like smooth things down a little bit, but it's going to utilize the symmetry. If you have X on, if you do Zremesher with symmetry turned on, it will make your asymmetrical model symmetrical. So just be careful with that. Turn X for symmetry on and off. So I want that off. And I'm actually going to half this a few times just to get something low. I'm going to ask how low can we go. Now we have a shape like this. And here you can actually come in and maybe mask off a section. And then you can start putting this in the center, maybe blow this up a little bit. Maybe scale this down a little bit. So this way we can keep kind of these, the idea here is to have a little bit of natural flow to this. And then I can actually mask this section off, maybe increase this side right here, just mask that off and maybe bring this up a little bit. Maybe flare it out or bring it in. So we can, this will just start getting the nice shape here. Kind of bring this up here. So I have a little bit of a nice little taunt. Now what we're going to do is I add a couple edge loops. So I'm actually going to mask this whole thing off by control tapping in space. And this is really cool, is that you don't have to use ZModeler. You can just grab the slice curve and you can start adding your own custom edge loops by slicing into where you would want it to be. So say, yeah, something like that actually. And now we can mask this section off, tap, control, invert, and then maybe blow this up a little bit. Or actually, just mask this section off there. Maybe blow that one up a little bit, bring this down. And now this is single-sided geometry. So I've just positioned that. And actually, you can use this for a lot. You can use ZModeler to add some thickness by hovering over a face. So ZModeler is B, Z, and M. Hover over a face, press and hold the space bar. Grab polygroup all with QMesh, add a little bit of thickness, or go up to geometry, dynamic subdivision, turn on dynamic subdivision, and apply some thickness. This is temporary thickness. If I hit D to Shift D to turn that off, or hit D to turn that on, it will be temporary. And this is another way you could do it. It is completely up to you. Boop. I have 2 pieces now. There we go. Yes, say yes. And let's bring that up. I must have accidentally duplicated by hitting Control Shift D. So that's how I would approach something like that. Hopefully that makes sense. We can run that back. I'm going to always timestamp these a bit. Easy! Let's see. Nice. A cute skirt for a pickle, Rick. Could definitely. Deformation station. Everyone should spend a few hours with a sphere and deformation. Absolutely. And yes, absolutely. So that's the other thing too. If we want to go here, and I'll bring that up too, just to get people started with this, because this one's really cool. If you go here, grab a sphere, turn the sucker off there. There we go. Got our sphere. How low can you go? What's really cool is hit W, and then you have this cogwheel, and then here, look, you have all these deformers. You can make all sorts of really cool stuff here. You can isolate stuff. Of course, I picked the most basic one here. Let's actually do project primitive. This is a really fun one because you can actually manipulate primitive shapes. Look at that, BB-8. BB-8, that's how BB-8 was made. So, and then these sliders right here, hover over any of these sliders. You have a modifier slider, which will modify these different shapes for you. Weep, weep, weep. You actually have primitive types, so you can choose the type of primitive that you want to bring in, right? And then you can just position this wherever you want. You can scale it up. Whee! Come down here, manipulate. Look at this. This is Scale that down. You can get all sorts of really cool stuff really fast. Rotate that around. Yep. And then each one of these cones, if you hover over, it tells you exactly what that cone does. Symmetry is over here. Opacity is over here. Maximum displacement. You can have it become really, really hard or really, really soft. It's up to you. Tessellate. How much is that information tessellating on the fly? So, boom. And then when you're done with whatever you found your shape, hover over that gizmo again, hit accept, and boom, you got something right out the gate. And you can do this multiple times. Just open this back up. Say, you know what? Actually, you wanted to extend this now. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just start extending this shape out. So use this deformer. Extend here. Extend here. All right. Perfect. Yeah. This actually looks pretty cool. All right. So then grab that little giz and say accept. So you can start with so much real quick, and then you just go through. If you would like to watertight it or ZBrush it, whatever you'd like to do, come in here, hit Dynamesh. Boom. Dynamesh. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Control W for the same one. And now you have something you can start with. Yeah, it's definitely easy and very useful. I was using Run Simulate Gravity. Yeah, Ian, to preserve a sharp edge of that mesh as best as possible, do you only use Detect Edges? I noticed that you deleted the top and the bottom. So Detect Edges is actually a really great way to get that. If you have solid edges, like we'll take this cube, for example, and solve this out. So yeah, if you just wanted to do Zremesh and you don't have any poly groups, Detect Edges is going to be probably one of the best ways to do that. So you could just hit Detect Edges, and when it has an edge, it's going to know that that's an actual point of contention to the edges. So it actually is like saying stop here. If you have points that are maybe a softer fall off, then that's when I would say keep creases and crease those edges that you want specifically. But something like this cube, if I just go ahead and Zremesh this with Detect Edges, you can see here it automatically found everything that I needed it to be. So I can just go pretty low and get cleaner geometry, half that each time, and I'm not really worried. As long as there's an edge, it's going to do its best to make sure we can get something cool. So ever wanted to make a Rubik's Cube? Here you go. Just come over here. You got this poly group here. We'll open up Z modelers at B, Z, and M. The stream just basically became a crash course how it's made at ZBrush. But we're going to go with bevel. And then I'm going to go ahead and just bevel these edges here. I'm going to tap, boop, 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 right? Something like that. I'm going to grab this guy. What are you doing? Oh, let's go. Let's go. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Let's zoom in here for a second. Oh my goodness. ZBrush, what you doing to me, ZBrush? We're going to repeat this action. I don't know what happened. Yeah, one of the most used bars, absolutely. What happened, Ian? It crashed. Not quite sure what happened there. Okay, well, you know what? Let's bring up... Well, this is why Quick Save is turned on. Brings up a Quick Save tool. There you go. Now for a walk right now while the print is running. Enjoy it. Hey, Uncle Jesse, what's happening? Welcome, man. Welcome, man. Always happy to have you here, buddy. If everybody does not know Uncle Jesse, you have to know Uncle Jesse. Actually, let's go ahead and mask this section off. Wow, okay. Well, you know what we could do? Boop, 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 boop. Let's actually hover over this face. These are all different poly groups, which is where I was going with this. So with the Z modeler, hover over this face, and we can actually go poly group all, and we can Q mesh, and we can actually pull this in, or pull this out, and there you got our Rubik's Cube. Ish. That's a great way to do that as well. So, anyway. There it is, there it is. Yeah, exactly. Hey, what's up, Anjay? Welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, what are you printing? Or do we have to do like a guess the Uncle Jesse print? So yeah, so lots of different ways. So actually, I'm going to redo that one more time. So we're going to insert just a random cube. And we were doing detect edges. So if we go geometry, detect edge at, let's say 1, and go ahead and say Zremesh. That's going to give me something really cool. I can half that, get what I want. The other way too, and actually the faster way to get a cube like this is actually just open up your gizmo and grab under the of the cogwheel is polycube. And this gives you exactly what you want right out the gate. This is probably the best cube within ZBrush. And then go ahead and hit Q to close that down. And then from here, just hover over that edge with Z Modeler, press and hold spacebar, bevel. And then, like I said, we're just going to go ahead and bevel some stuff. And we're going to tap all the edges. And what's really, really cool is when you drag something out like this and then you start tapping these other edges, it's actually going to repeat the last action you did on that face. So then we have something like this, right? So now all we need to do is hover over this face. We can even come here and tap these edges here, but hover over this face, Hue Mesh Polygroup All. And then when you're dragging stuff out, if you just hit Control Tap, you can actually, Alt Tap, you can actually change your polygroup. And now you can get some really cool shapes that you really, really like and love so much. And then the other thing too is if we hold Alt and tap a face with Z Modeler, that will give some temporary selections. And then we can actually maybe pull out some of these different shapes. Maybe create like a Borg ship or something. Yeah, let's do something like that. Let's go ahead and drag these out here like this, which is really cool. So, you know, you can create all sorts of fun stuff like that. Not a problem. I wish I was printing another of your zombie cat models. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get you some more stuff, man. You gotta think outside the box. Always think outside the box. Yep. Sweet. Yeah, this basically turned into a straight up Ask ZBrush how it's made. Yeah. It's just for so Uncle Jesse can see it too. But let's go ahead and hit Control Open. Nah, I don't want to save that. I've been working on this Pickle Rick. That we're gonna get a really cool pose going on. What are we at? We're already at 10 o'clock. This has been awesome. This has been an awesome stream so far. It's Pickle Rick, but it's not just any Pickle Rick. Not just any Pickle Rick. It's Dr. Strange Pickle Rick. How is a flux capacitor made? Oh, that is, oh my goodness, flux capacitor? Whew. Okay, we can either turn that into how it's made, for sure. That would be really, really cool. But really, a flux capacitor is, I would say that's probably really simple if you just break down the shapes. So let's go pull up images real quick. Flux capacitor. It is just a box with some tubes in it, which is really cool, right? So we're just taking a look at that basic shape. So honestly, like the way I would approach a flux capacitor. Sorry, Pickle Rick, you're gonna stay right there because we got stuff to teach. Okay, so flux capacitor time. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm gonna show you guys something else too. I'm gonna go ahead and let's go back. I don't want Etsy. Get out of here. I just want an image. This will be fine right here. I'm gonna go ahead and right click. I'm gonna save this image and I'm gonna save this under the Pickle Rick. And then I'm gonna go to texture. We're gonna import a new texture. So you can import images into a spotlight by import, grab that, hit this little add a spotlight icon, which is this plus minus guy. Boop. And now we can move this over here to the side. Hit Z to hide that. Go up to brush. And then we're going to go up to samples. And we're going to go spotlight projection off. Now we can actually sculpt with that texture there. And really, this is just going to be something. If we just go here, make Polymesh 3D, I would actually use this cube here. And then I just elongate this. Actually, let's follow the head here. Let's scale this up. Maybe let's move this here. Let's scale this way. So I would start this process actually by coming over here and selecting these front faces, hovering over this edge, inset all. Make sure it's just this face. Maybe inset this a little bit to get supporting edge loops. And then let's do that and press Alt to get a different polygroup. And do that one more time. Something like this. Say, yeah, for dynamic subdivision, which would be kind of cool, just to get something in its place. Okay. And then let's actually just scale this in like this. And actually just start Q meshing this in, hover over that face, Q mesh, and start bringing this in here like such. Yeah, I would start this block out like this. You could probably also use live boolean, but this would give you the main shape. And then I would actually go here, grab B, I, and then T for any type of primitives. Okay, it's a little narrow. But I'd use these points here and maybe grab some cylinders. If we hit symmetry with X, drag this out, and add in a couple points. Yeah, we can do something like that. Okay, and then I can actually put these, kind of scale these in just a little bit. And then from here, I mean, we're just breaking down basic shapes. So I'm actually going to insert, check this out, I'm actually going to insert a new cylinder, something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and skinny this down and scale this up. And what I would like to do is probably deform some of this. So I can either mask off a section, invert that, come in here and start twisting this down like this. Could do that. I could also go into our deformers here. Come on, grab it. There we go. Cool. And then we can actually do like a bend arc. Or actually, no, not a bend arc. We can actually do a bend curve. And we can add a little bit of resolution. And then I can start bending down these shapes here. Getting something like this. There we go. Yeah, maybe bring this up here just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Go ahead and say, yeah, that should be good. Price of eggs is nice. So let's come in here. And I'm going to go ahead and scale this down. Bring this up. You can already see where I'm going with this. Rotate this around 30 degrees. Maybe 40. Say, yep. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and do yourself a favor. I'm going to mirror and weld this bad boy. So geometry, modify topology, mirror and weld on the x-axis, turn on symmetry. And now I'm going to position this right where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this bad boy by hitting Control-Shift-D or coming under Subtool, Duplicate. Okay, turn off symmetry. And I'm actually going to just go ahead and just hide one side. And then we'll go ahead and delete Hidden, which is also under Modify Topology. Bring this here. So really, we're just getting these shapes in. That's all we're really doing. And then we can go ahead and just start bringing this here. Yeah, so that's how I would start it. And then I would just finesse it the rest of the way. Maybe bring that closer. Boop. Okay. All right, Ian. I don't know what you're doing there, buddy. Bring that in there. That's how I would start it. Got a bounce speed? No worries, no worries. Catch you later. Sounds good. I missed a lot. Sorry. Enjoy. Time for the run to start. Awesome, awesome. You, of course, dude. Of course. So I'm taking it that your Doctor Strange Pickle Rick possesses the Pickle Prime Infinity Stone. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. Let's see here. Blah 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 blah. He's I can think of funny. I make it? Yeah, Joe Pesci. All right, all right. I mean, your idea is nice. Like creativity, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so this is where we're at. So that's how I would start that. And then again, of course, too, you can always mask off sections like here and here. Invert that. Maybe bring those in a little bit. Yeah, that's really, there you go. Hold Alt, bring that in. Start manipulating some of this stuff. If you're manipulating one side you don't like it, mirror and weld on the y-axis, and you can have some stuff like that. So again, yeah, a lot of really cool stuff you could do. That's how I would start the Flux Capacitor, except for that last step. Ignore that last step. Actually, what we could do, just to round this out, I can't stop. Don't stop. Can't stop the beat. So we're going to hover over this edge here. I'm going to do bevel, partial loop. I'd actually start rounding this section out a little bit. Get a little bit of roundness to it. That would help round that edge a little bit. And I would actually make this independent piece. I would probably say, I would do this right here, which delete, head, and close holes. I would actually keep this piece, the inside piece, separate, and then I put the box around it. Yeah, that's about what I would do. Yeah, we almost built it. Exactly. All right. Let's see here. Hey, and I have two separate ZTLs, and I have both folders. Is there a way to merge the two files? And you have folders. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you wanted to merge folders from one to another, so you have two ZTLs and you have a folder. In fact, I actually did that last week here. So I had this this blade main folder right here. So what you do is you actually go up to Z plugin, and I'm going to go ahead first, hold this. I'm going to turn this guy off. So this blade main, this has all my components here. So what you do is you actually go up to Z plugin, and you go up to Subtool Master, and you do copy folder. And then you go into the ZTL that you want to drag this in, and then you go back up to Z plugin, and you say paste folder. And now it's going to take everything in that folder and drag it on over. And now here I have this folder right here. So I have this blade main folder, and there it is. And then, of course, if I want to delete it, hover over that edge, hit delete, and then delete that. That's exactly it. That's it. And then you could save it. Here's also a really cool friendly tip. Let's say, too, for example, I go ahead and I do myself a favor, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is really cool. I'm going to save this project. So ZTL, saved it. And then for some reason, I hovered over the teeth, and I was like, I meant to duplicate, but I accidentally hit delete, and I wasn't thinking. Boom, done. Where'd my teeth go? I'm like really upset by this now. So if you accidentally delete something that you were working on and you have saved recently, just go back up to load tool, reload your subtool, and that will restore where you were at. But let's say you were really far in the project and you accidentally deleted the teeth. Then just go ahead and copy those teeth, go back over to this main one, and go ahead and paste those in, and then just come through here, delete all. And now I have my teeth back in my original subtool. You're absolutely welcome. Not a problem. Movie pitch, Pickle Rick Supreme and the Picnic of Madness. Oh, this is funny. All right, all right, all right. Let's see here. So that's how you would do that. Can you show me how to maintain details during Zremesh? Because I've tried twice, and I even use ZGuide, but still removes all the details when you use Zremesh. Not a problem. So with detailing, you want to think of detailing in stages. So you have this pickle here. That's my go-to this time. So you have this pickle here, and I would like to Zremesh this, but I want to preserve the details. It's impossible to preserve details during the Zremesh phase. However, it is not impossible to get that back, and you can do this one of two ways. I'm going to show you the preferred method is a project history. So at the top here, if you would like, go ahead and over your last history or the state in which you want to copy, which is up to you, we're going to go ahead and say press and hold and control and tap that orange little spot. Now from here, our pickle history, everything in the subtool is saying to ZBrush, I want you to remember this exact location because we're about ready to change a lot of stuff. So now we're going to go to our Zremesher. So let's go under geometry. And here with this pickle, I have some poly groups, but let's say I did not because I don't want to do that. I just want to go ahead and do a basic Zremesh. So we're going to go to Zremesher, and we're going to go ahead and dial in some features. So I'm going to turn off keep groups. I don't really need that. I do want to detect some edges. I might have some spots that would be helpful. Yeah, let's not even do that. Let's just go. We're just plain Zremeshing at 10. Boom. We're going to go ahead and let this happen through osmosis, and I can't remember if I had symmetry turned on or not. If I do have symmetry turned on, we're going to notice real fast because all of our random bumps are going to become very symmetrical very quickly. So let's find out. I don't think I did. Nope, I did not. So here we are with our Zremesh, and this is fine. This will work, but we have a lot of detail loss. And we just went from 200,000 to 10,000. So you're going to lose detail here. But then all we need to do to get this detail back And the reason why you ZBrush in the first place is now to work within subdivisions. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D a couple times, or hit Divide here, 1, 2, 3. Let's get a subdivision level of 4. And now I have about 623,000 active points. Now, with this controlled state point, all I need to do is go under Subtool, Project, Project History. You don't have to touch anything. Just hit Project History and say yes. Transfer that poly paint as well. And now we have my detail back. That's method number 1. I relish these sets. Oh, that's a perfect pun. I love it. Thank you. Oh yeah, we'll get into capes too. I did do the cape a little bit last week, but I could show you the way I did it. It's actually just using a plane. And then we'll get into some posing. It's going 10-20. I might actually go a little bit over. I usually go until 11, but looks like we have a lot of really good questions, so we'll probably go just a little bit longer. Okay, so that's method number 1. Method number 2, and we'll back up in time to this point in time we were at. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this, or actually, you know what? I'm going to duplicate it, but I'm going to first put it in a folder. So I'm going to hit Control F and call this pickle. Okay, now he's in a folder. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. So now I have 2 objects in a folder. The reason why I want to put it in a folder is because we can create a hierarchy within our subtools by clicking this little arrow. It might be hard to see, but each subtool has a little arrow next to these other icons, which we'll get into at a later date. This arrow sets hierarchy, saying that, oh, you have 15 tools. And before, we would actually have to set 2 different tools to have 2 different hierarchies, so that anything under this first tool is recognizing as being, you know, a parent and a child. And then the next one becomes a parent, and everything else underneath is a child. Well, that seems a little, that method is kind of an older method, but still here. The folders kind of create that for you. Once you have a first subtool on top, every subtool within it is paired to this folder, and it doesn't look outside of it. So that's helpful. So that's why it's easy if you wanted to go ahead and create a new subfolder and turn on only what you're working on, you can easily do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and say that this subtool up here, so this one is the one I want to have the projection on. I don't need Control History anymore. So I can just turn that off by pressing Control and tapping that. So now I just have this guy, and I ZRemesh this guy. So we'll just go through that process again. Hit ZRemesh. We'll ZRemesh this guy. And now I'll have the subtool on top with all my details, and the subtool on the bottom will be the new ZRemeshed version. And then I can just project from the top subtool down into the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and wait for this to ZRemesh. Perfect. We're about 10,000. So I'll subdivide a few times, again hitting Control D a couple times, or Command if you're on keyboard or a Mac. And then from here, we're just going to go to Project All. Notice that Project History is turned off because there is no history state. As soon as there is a history state, Project History does become available. But with no projection state, Project History will be grayed out. And that's just to prevent you from accidentally projecting something that doesn't make any sense. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and just say Project All. And it's going to project everything that's within this folder that is visible. So we say, yep, go ahead and project. And now we have our detail back. So we went from here to here. And now this is exactly the same as subtool number 1 to subtool number 2. And the only difference would be the wireframe. This wireframe looks like this, and this wireframe. Go ahead and clear that. This wireframe is this one, and this one's this one. So 1, 2. So that's how. But you can see right here, they are very much identical. All that projection, all that detail is back in black. I'm actually going to Control Z to get my subdivisions back on this tool. All right, beautiful. So hopefully that answered that question. It's a great question, by the way. Let's go ahead and throw that there. Let's come here. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and get the question with capes. I'll show you how to make a cape real quick. And then let's get into a little bit of posing. I do want to pose him, or at least start the pose process. So for the cape itself, the cape was actually really simple. In fact, I like to try to keep my capes as single-sided geometry as much as possible until I actually need thickness. But even then, I will bounce back and forth between just having single-sided geometry because it's easier to manipulate the cape with. So at any point in time, I could just manipulate that. But to get this cape, so let's come here, turn this on, and we'll just go ahead and turn the cape itself off. The way I did this cape was actually I just inserted a plane 3D, so insert plane 3D, and I actually scaled this up. And then I went ahead and turned this around so that it is 180 degrees the other way. Come on, rotate. There we go. So now it's facing backwards. If you would like to see both sides, go ahead and go to display properties and turn on double. Now I can see both sides. But you want to make sure you know where the normals are facing, especially for capes. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and position this way. And then what I did to get something that was simple is I actually just went here, and this plane 3D has hidden subdivisions that you're not aware of. It comes in at a decent 1,000 points, but we can just hit construct subdiv under geometry and rebuild subdivisions, because this actually comes from a solid cube. So we can actually find something that's a little bit easier to work with, say something like this maybe, delete higher, and now we have some subdivisions we could play with. And then from here, we can actually just start shaping this cape. And actually, let's go down a little bit lower. Okay. And I'm actually going to go ahead and turn on symmetry by hitting X. Back that up for a second. There we go. Going to mask off these zones here. Okay. And I'm going to start just kind of rotating these outer edges a little bit. So I started wrapping around this way. I kind of brute forced it a little bit. Now you can, and this is something you can do too. I'm going to go ahead and mask this section off here. Send this here in the middle and kind of puff this up. You can use deformers. So if you would like to use a deformer, you absolutely could. But then here, I just started masking off the sections because the points are really, really low. I was actually able to then start positioning it right where I wanted to. Maybe rotate this around and start bringing these shapes in. And then I just kind of fit the cape to him. And then I started pulling these points in closer with symmetry. So I started pulling these points in a little bit closer and just wiggling this out. This is one way to do it. This is how I do it for Tpose stuff. If I've built capes before in the past, I'll typically I'll typically just like pull a cape that I've done before too. And then from here, and then to apply thickness, I'll just hit D for dynamic subdivision, see how that's going. Start pulling the stuff in a little bit. Again, I just kind of fit it to him. I didn't really need to do a whole lot. I was going for that kind of Dracula appeal, and ultimately ended up with this guy here. And then to actually get some interesting wrinkles or shapes, here I'm just going to end up taking the move brush, and we can use move infinite, so BMN, and then you could just start pulling in certain sections, get a little bit of like a wave effect happening with your capes. Capes look best non-symmetrical, so you end up getting something like that. That was a little bit more of a brute force method. I want to find a JPEG of a McDonald's wrapper and just use it for texture for the cape. Oh my gosh. That would be really cool. I love it. And can you please show how to sculpt creature saliva spit dripping from the mouth between the teeth? Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can go about doing that. Actually, I will show you the easiest method because I've been playing with another method that is a little bit more complicated, but because it's doing everything all at once. But honestly, if I want saliva between his teeth, all you need to do here, and this is what I would do, I would go to his teeth, for example, and maybe we're going to put some drool here. I'm going to go ahead and insert a sphere. Or actually, I'm not going to insert a sphere. I'm going to take the IMM primitive, so B, I, and then T. I'm going to drag this out. Okay. I'm going to isolate this one guy. And maybe then hide it and split hidden. And that's under subtool, split, split hidden. And then I'm actually going to pick this right here. Now this is Saliva, so I'm actually going to go ahead and kind of smash it into the teeth a bit. Now here's really something really cool. We're going to use SnakeHook for this. So I'm actually going to go B, S, and then H for SnakeHook. And then SnakeHook is telling me it wants me to use Sculptress. That's fine. We don't have to right now. Now here's what's really cool. If you just start manipulating, right, you're going to have this, as we talked about before. Let's turn Sculptress on. And I actually want to control Sculptress a little bit better, so I'm actually going to go up to Stroke, Sculptress Pro. I'm going to turn Adaptive Size off, and that's going to really help me kind of do the stuff I want to do. Oh, calm down there, buddy. If we control this a little bit more, what is happening there? That's like working opposite. I don't want it to work opposite. Why are you doing that? Let me go here real quick to, I want to Dynamesh it. Let's do Dynamesh. There we go. A little bit bigger than that. There we go. There we go. That's what I want. Dynamesh. It was a little too low for what we were going for. So Dynamesh, and now with Sculptress. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to Dynamesh it for now. Just keep things simple. If I hold Alt, I'll actually start dragging along the surface normal of stuff. Let's turn off paint by turning off the RGB up here at the top or holding spacebar. And if I hold Alt, it's actually going to drag along the surface, which is going to be really cool. So I can get some stuff dragging on the surface, and then from here, I can either, because it's just SnakeHook, I could just start pulling this down. Something like this. Just get something kind of simple. Or rebuild that with Dynamesh. Or use Sculptress, whichever works for you. I'm just going to use Dynamesh. We can get a little bit here. Something like this. Go. Something like that. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild that surface. Now I'm probably going to use something like B, I, and N to inflate. So inflate, B, I, N is the keyboard shortcut. Hold Alt and I'll kind of skinny that up a little bit. Maybe smooth that down. And then rebuild. Now I have something like this, and I'm just going to play with its positioning just a little bit more. Maybe we are going to shove this in his teeth a little bit. Now here's where you can get really some fun stuff. If you want, like, you could just go ahead and start like pulling this out, right? But that can feel a little weird. So what we can do is actually use dynamic cloth for this. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just clean that up just a little bit more. Something like this. Smooth that down. Perfect. Go ahead and rebuild that. Now I'm just going to go ahead and Zremesh this. It might be a little too skinny. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and Zremesh this. And now what I'm going to do, so we go to Zremesher. And then let's just Zremesh so we have something kind of neat. And let's actually half this. How low can we go? Yeah, that's going to be perfect. Something like that. Beautiful. We'll pick a little bit of a bluish, greenish, brownish color. Say color fill. There we go. Okay. Now what we can do is I'm just going to isolate this for a second. And now we're going to pull up dynamics. So dynamics up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and just touch this little dot here to dock it on the left-hand side. And now I'm going to go ahead and set up some different stuff. So I'm going to mask off some areas I don't want affected. So I definitely don't want this area affected, and I don't want this area affected. I'm going to invert that by hitting Control and tapping and maybe softening that a bit. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to turn on, we could turn on collision volume. And then I'm actually going to take inflate down to about 0. And then I'm actually going to set the gravity to be down this way. Gravity is usually set on the y-axis going up and down. I need to set it on the z-axis. So I'm going to face Pickle Rick the way I want that to go. So maybe even, just for the fun of it, maybe we want this kind of angled up a little bit. So maybe we don't want it quite this way. It doesn't matter. We could do something like that. You could just position it however you want it to be. We'll save this for now. And then we're actually going to go to gravity and set direction. And then let's take the gravity down to about 1 and recalculate. Now if I run the simulator, I can get something like this. That's a little fast. So we can actually go down a little lower, maybe 0.2, recalculate, and now let this kind of run a little bit. And if that's not strong enough or not the way you would like it, let's go a little bit higher. Yeah, that works. Recalculate. And you can get that kind of droopy effect. Now we can just kind of finesse it the rest of the way. So we can either set it down this way, reset that gravity, and then run it again. And you can start getting some really cool effects. You can also just take the move brush or the cloth move at this point and kind of get it where you want it to be. You can kind of set that maybe down there a little bit. And then you just repeat this however many pieces that you would want that to be. But you can get a little drippy drip right in there. If you want to inflate it but not use the inflate brush, hold control and inflate. Holding control and use the scale will inflate that. And then again, you just kind of position this right where you want it to be. And you can get a little bit of nastiness. So, and just let it make sense with the gravity that it has. So that's why we can use gravity. And then of course too, using the SnakeHook brush, you can get stuff to kind of attach itself a bit more. So you could do something like that. What's up, Darren? We're making spit. We're making spit. Let's rename that for now. That's pretty small. I'd have to print this figure pretty big, though, to 3D print that. Honestly, too, if you're going for just a render, it might be best just to paint that in there as well. But if you want to make it physical, that's how you would do that. Maybe we'll hide that spit for now. You are so welcome. All right, let's get into a little bit of a pose. Let's do some posing. So we have his cape. And let's just go ahead and delete this temp cape right here. All right, we have this cape here. Let's do some simple posing. We have pretty much everything blocked out the way we want. I'm not going to worry about the hands being fists. We're going to cover that actually after we do the initial pose. So let's go ahead and save. So I'm going to save my project because I am saving the history state of things. Okay, perfect. And now we're going to go up to Z plugin. And I recommend that when you do this type of posing using Transpose Master, that you have everything subdivided. It's just going to be so much more helpful and stuff like that. So yeah, let's pose them. All right. So Tpose Mesh sends everything into a single subtool that then gets combined by polygroups. This is a really neat way to do some stuff. If you do have things with, again, with single-sided geometry like this cape and this cloak, the neck piece of it, so we could just turn on double so we could see exactly what we're doing. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and hide the cape because I'm not worried about that at the moment. Actually, you know what? Let's put that back. Let's start with his... I like to pose from the hips. I always like to pose from the hips. So I'm thinking... what's a good pose? Let's see what we got here. With the pose itself, let's bring up the pure ref. I think I do want to go for something like this. I think I want this kind of pose, but I want the cape to be flowing. It's going to be epic. Yeah. Or what? You know, what's a good Doctor Strange pose? Actually, let's try that. Let's see if we could pull up a Doctor Strange pose. So we're going to come here. Oh yeah, our Flux Capacitor. So Doctor Strange pose. Okay, so I guess we can vote. So voting time. Everybody who's here, we can either do this type of pose or we could do this type of pose. I'll let you guys vote. So Doctor Strange will be vote 1. Pickle Rick will be 2. You guys can go ahead and type in 1 or 2. And let's see what the majority is. Now I'm thinking about it. It might be really cool to go with dynamic Doctor Strange pose all the way. So 1, 1, 1, 1. All right, looking good. Hawksman. All right. Yeah, looks like 1 is it. Okay. So there's 2. There's not a third one. Oh, we're getting some 2s in here. Still majority 1s. All right. We'll give it a few more seconds. Okay. All right. We'll do the Doctor Strange pose. I think it's going to make sense. All right. So that being said, what we're gonna do? Let me actually go ahead and drag this into my pure ref. All right. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and close that one down. That's awesome. All right. Well, that's actually going to be fun because he has a fist in one and he has his other hands in the other. So let's do that. So what I like to do is I like to pose from the hip. And I mean that very literal. Good. We could have a floating one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and rotate him so that his pose is a little stancy here. And this is why we have everything loosey-goosey when you're going through stuff, because you just want to be able to just like have things that you can quickly manipulate. So we can grab this section here, bones and feet, right? And now I could just go ahead and mask this section off. You can also too, if you have something like this, where you have multiple subtools with the same auto poly group, let's just go ahead and auto group that. So we can go to poly groups, auto groups, and that works only within this section here. It doesn't transfer back to poly groups. So we can actually then better isolate all the stuff that we need to manipulate. Not the cape, we want that. Mask everything else off. And now we can actually do some control points. Send this in the middle, scale this up, rotate this. I'm gonna rotate this around. Actually push this back and start to rotate that. Go. Yeah, you could have the cape suspended pickle Rick even for the illusion that he's floating as well. That is actually a great idea. I've seen that one. I've seen one like it, not that one specifically. So that is a cool idea. I like it. I like it. Okay, let's now start isolating. So this is how I tend to do my posing. Oh my goodness. There we go. Mask that section off. Nope. Grab that section. There we go. Mask this section off here. So we're just going to do a light little twist here. Bring this in. Maybe grab that, rotate that in that way. Just kind of do a little bit of a twist out. And keep the stance kind of natural and neutral. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to isolate all this fun stuff. If you want to isolate things really quickly, by the way, what you can do is select drag out some stuff that you want to isolate and then hit Control-Shift-A, and that's actually going to isolate a lot at once and then rebuild back whatever is not connected. So we can actually then hide this bottom section here, hide this here, mask this section off there. And now I'm going to hide his cape for a second, and I'm going to mask his body. And I'm actually going to use mask lasso. So holding Control, let's select mask lasso. I'm going to soften this. Okay. And now I'm going to put this more in the middle. Let's actually put the gizmo at the spot. I'm going to bring this back. Rotate his body a little bit. Now, posing, you are going to break stuff, so do not be afraid to break things. Actually, okay, so I'm going to grab the select rec to hide some stuff I need to hide. Go. That's fine. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do... There we go. That's how we get rid of all that stuff quick. Perfect, like that. I want to actually just move his head. I'll have to give him an expression in a little bit. It's up. maybe stretch his head up a little bit. Grab this, we'll actually rotate this around. Just a little bit. Mask that back off, rotate this around a little bit more. Maybe cock his head a little bit. There we go. Just kind of perfect. That's going to be a lot better. Yeah. It's already given him some personality, which is nice. I'm afraid. And now this is, again, keeping everything within, you know, shapes allows us to quickly select stuff and then mask off that section. And then here we can actually bring up his arm a little bit, kind of rotate this around. Let's hide this cape of his. I want this to be there we go. Now we'll have to, like I said, we'll have to manipulate some of the geometry, but that's okay. Let's move this back here. Yeah, let's push that in. A little bit here. That up. That. Right. Hide this stuff. Let's mask this off. Hide this. You're gonna take this pivot point. Ooh, you know what? Actually, let's back this up here. I'm gonna take this pivot point, unmask that, come here, and now we're gonna. And we will just rotate this a little bit. This section up here, and then we can just reconnect this however we see fit so that it makes sense. Grab that guy. We'll have to correct that because that's it's a little broken. That's okay though. When is the ZBrush Summit? We haven't announced anything yet. But when we have everything locked in, we will be making our announcements. So keep an eye out. But nothing has been officially announced yet. You guys excited? Let's get last year. Nice, nice. All right, now let's go ahead and we're gonna isolate some more features. But yeah, once we have things in place, we will be announcing. So no worries. Okay. Now this is what we're gonna do here. I'm gonna just go ahead and again, let's just select mask that section off. Cool. Now here, I'm actually wanting to throw his chest back. So I'm actually going to tap right here. And I'm going to make sure that this gets pulled back and then this rotates. Then from here, grab that pivot point. Let's go ahead and start, we'll like rotate that and then bring that up. Make sure that makes sense. Maybe pull this back a little bit. Grab this guy, bring that back here. Rotate that up just a little bit more. I'll have to make a fist. We'll have to so we'll make one fist and we'll end up making his hand what it is. And now for the cape. The cape, I'm actually going to pose that separately from here. There's no need to pose that in this. But we do want a little bit of body language, and we're not getting that right now, okay? So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to go ahead and, of course, this pose might be a little bit interesting since he's a pickle. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to rotate him back. So let's put him in the middle. Let's rotate him backwards just a little bit. There we go. And I'll isolate this guy right here, and I'm actually going to go ahead and take this, Control-Shift-A, hide him, mask this section off. And now using the floor a little bit, I'm going to go ahead, maybe station that just a bit. Yeah, okay. That's a little bit better on that language, but we need to definitely manipulate this section here. So again, we're not really going to pose the cape, but we are going to go boop, boop, boop. Pull that back a little bit and maybe start the rotation. But we have a lot more to do with that. Light smooth. Okay. We'll give him a mean face. Right now, he's just a face. Okay, so this will be a decent pose, so let's T-pose that back. Can you show everyone how to... Hold on one second. If you're looking for people to host, you can do like an hour if you like. If you really get lost in ZBrush, show people how to get lost in ZBrush and how to find yourself coming back the other way around. Valuable skills. I love it. Thanks, okay. Can I show everyone how to spin I can show everyone how to spin geometry endlessly and use the undo shortcut to the point of wearing the paint off the keyboard keys. You guys are so much. I'll write those down. Here we go. All right, just so you know. On the list of oh, you guys are awesome. All right, let's grab this here real quick and let's start maybe manipulating this cape a little bit. Hey! Hey, Cube is here. Hello. He came in right with the posing and trying to find the body language of my pickle. Pickle Rick. How you doing? Ashley, it's always a pleasure to have you here. As always, everybody knows Hey Cube. And if you didn't catch yesterday's stream, you have to. You have to catch it. In fact, I'm going to pop it over here just so that you know that it happened. Let me go get it. It was awesome. It was an awesome stream. Had a lot of fun. And if you're looking for insight information about freelance, about the industry previs, there's really good information in there. In fact, you know what? I totally forgot to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. But there is a really cool video that she mentions that we're going to be putting in that one as well. So I'm going to make sure to do that. I'll do that after this stream. Oh, no, it's already there. Perfect. It is already there, actually, which is really, really cool. So, check it out. It's really cool. Oh, thanks, AQ. Had a lot of fun. So it was very awesome to hang out, so. Whoop, whoop. Everybody go check it out. It was really cool. We're doing more like that. We are always doing stuff on Tuesday, so definitely check it out. Okay, the other thing I wanted to showcase real quick too is during this pose, we have some sculpts or some pieces here that have symmetry built in, and the geometry is perfectly the same. So we could use posable symmetry to go ahead and find any point in which might have symmetry put in, and then we can go ahead and activate that. To quote my favorite actor, oh my. And let's actually go ahead and save real quick. So let's go ahead and hit Control S because I'm saving the project. Saving projects is a little heavy. Doop, boop, boop, boop. Do I have a contributors program? Like somebody, like you want to have somebody come on? Yeah, actually, if you're somebody that if you are thinking would be a really good spot for Industry Spotlight, ZBrush Central Breakdown, if you have an artist that you think we should feature, definitely DM me. Just DM me for right now. But we might have we have something that will be posted soon that you'll be able to do that stuff. So we'll post to that soon enough. But if you have somebody you think would be good, the body language of a pickle, yeah. Look, Morty, I'm a ZBrush tutorial. No, for like written articles and guides via your websites. Oh. I could stay while you pose, but I have a meeting to get to about posing. Oh, that's funny. All right, Ashley, thanks for stopping by, as always. Come on. So for like written articles and guides via your website, check ZBrush Central would probably be, I mean, I personally don't have any, not off the top of my head, but ZBrush Central might be a good spot for that. Oh my gosh, are we almost done? Okay, we are almost out of time, which is crazy. So let me continue posing this real quick. Boop, 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 boop. Great questions, by the way, everyone. I really enjoy answering questions as best I can. So believe you me, thank you, and keep them coming. Z Classroom, yeah. Yeah, actually, that's being updated. We're actually soon we'll have a Z Classroom on Cineversity. But let me get you the Z Classroom, especially for getting started. If you're just trying to get started in ZBrush, Z Classroom, these videos are a little older, but we are working soon to update them. So while we are working on that, what is the best question of the stream? Like my children, all questions are equally awesome. There's the classroom. That'll definitely get you started. No, I seriously, I love every question. That's okay. I take it. Like this guy. All right, so I'm using the move infinite. Oh, that's so funny. All right, I'm going to mask off this section. I'm going to soften it. Invert this. And we're going to go to rotate this. Yeah, you guys make me laugh. There we go. There we go. A little bit of action. I am not caring whatsoever about the geometry of this, by the way. I am literally just like, just pose it. Just get it in the shape, and then I can fix it later. I really don't need to stress all day long about each and every single little line. Just like, let's move and get something that I'm gonna like to see. Because it's really the best way to get expression. Well, if you ever get stuck in ZBrush, you gotta hit me up, okay? Guys, you can always DM me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is IRSculpts. Been running that for a while. But if you're here, I stream at this time every week. And soon we're going to be doing a How It's Made series about building characters from scratch. And we're going to be doing a D&D character. In the next few weeks, we'll get that all set up. And then what's going to happen is everybody's going to get a chance to vote on the piece that we are making. So if you really want to have your character with Crocs and socks on a wizard, this is the time for you to do that. And we'll be making an official announcement with that very soon. So if that's something you're interested in, we're taking the how it's made to another level, and that's what we end up doing. So I'm excited about it. Hopefully everybody is excited about it as well. With cloth real quick, especially something like this, I'm working a little fast, but I'm just keeping the direction of the wrinkles that make sense. Yeah, you love like to get yeah. You love finding new ways to do the same. Absolutely. Same way. Same exact way. Oh yeah. You know, that's what ZBrush is all about, man. It's about coming in here, having fun, getting some good art going on. And then you just tell the world, hey, I made this in ZBrush. Yeah, this is really cool. I'm really liking this. Okay, cool. All right, so what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to finesse this off stream a little bit more, because I have other projects that we're starting on this channel, and so if you would like to see the progress of this piece, again, IR Sculpts, you can follow me there. Make sure you follow Pixelogic and Maxon as well, because I update there as well and I tag there. So feel free to follow me and check me out there, and this progress will be up. Of course, I'll also update on the stream as well. We'd like to finish him, because I'm thinking in the next couple of weeks we'll be doing the How It's Made series. So now what I am going to do real quick is I'm actually going to clean up these edges here. So you see this edge right here, how this is kind of like falling in on itself, and I would actually like this to be a little bit better. So I can either smooth this down here, but the edges isn't smoothing. So if I turn on the smooth cloth brush, so B, S, and then the smooth cloth brush, hold shift and click that, now it's actually going to clean up my edges, because it's actually going to smooth the edges of the geometry. So normal smooth brush does not do that, but smooth cloth does. So anytime you have wrinkles or edges falling in on themselves, just you could smooth those edges down, getting something a little bit more cleaner and what you're looking for. And that's going to smooth that down. So, and kind of uniform stuff. And so that's how you would clean up your edges a little bit. Especially right here. I have ZBrush Core, but my model is full of holes. Elbow cough. No! No, it's full of holes. Full of holes. Okay, you know what? Before I leave, I will pop over and I could show you some tips on how to do that in ZBrush Core. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's save this. This is about where we're at for the day. Let me load up ZBrush Core, and I can help you out real quick, fast and in a hurry. Make him fighting mice. Yeah. Ooh, that'd be cool. See, this project keeps getting bigger, and I love it. Oh man, that's why we do it. That's why we do it here. That's why I come on here and help out. We don't need to charge thousands. Okay, so let's go ahead. I just smoothed one more thing. All right, let's go load up ZBrush Core. The easiest way too would be if you have a lot of holes. I could tell you Dynameshing at a lower resolution would probably be the thing that saves your life on holes. But let's see, I have Core. Is Core here? Is this one Core? Is this one Core? I think this one's Core, and then the next one's CoreMini. Can't remember. Yep, ZBrush Core. Perfect. So here's Core. And you have your draw size. I'm just going to go ahead and let's use the organic chisel brush real quick. See if we can manipulate and get some holes the way we want it. Can always... some fun stuff here. Let's go. Let's work backwards. Okay. I have a shape. Let me try to Dynamesh that. Okay. So let me see something real quick. It's been a minute. I want to make sure that I am able to do the thing I want to say. Okay. So what we're going to do in ZBrush Core is if you do have holes and you're experiencing holes, then what you can do, and this is what I highly recommend you do at this point, is depending on how crazy your mesh is, you probably might have little specks. Let me see if I can manipulate it. It might be hard to manipulate it. Let me see. Okay. See if I can I add some crunchies here? Deflate maybe? Here we go. Oh, okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so you have some, maybe you have something like this. Hopefully you have something like this is what we're talking about. So if you have something like this, the first thing to do is, first off, you know, how much detail are you trying to salvage? If you're trying to salvage detail, when you Dynamesh, these holes right here, the Swiss cheese is going to give you some problems. What ZBrush Core is trying to do is it's trying to make sure that it's rebuilding the topology as best as it can. And it's using Dynamesh and stuff to make sure that it can do that. However, a lot of times you try to inflate this and stuff like that and then rebuild. That's going to be your best bet. The reason why you'll have holes is because on the inside of your model, there might be something that is too thin. So a trick that you might be willing to do in ZBrush Core to kind of help with this, and let's go back, is that what you can do is actually scale it up a little bit. So what you could do from here is maybe say, look, I'm going to scale this. I'm going to scale this up. And what this will do is this will make my scene, it'll make these thin walls a little not so thin. And then go in there and try to inflate. Come on, grab it. Try to inflate these together. Get this rebuilt, and then woohoo, just blew that up. Yeah, buddy. Let's do a little bit of clay buildup. Let's give it some mesh. Let's see what happens. Oh, I just broke it. Swiss cheese. All right. If this is happening, then the other thing you could probably do is probably cut that section off. I would say cut that section off and rebuild. Maybe delete hidden. Modify topology, delete hidden, and then rebuild that. And then I would rebuild it. If you're getting that Swiss cheese, that's the way I would go. Rebuild and then try to rework that piece. Because again, what you want to try to prevent is these areas right here. Anytime you get this area that's too close, or even this spot right here, try to smooth that down and rebuild that geometry and Dynamesh that. Get that nice and clean. So it's a little bit more of finessing it, but... And let me just see something real quick. It has been a minute since I've jumped in here. Oh, we do have back face mask, so that is something else you could do too. Let's try that real fast before we blew that up the way we did. Let's scale that back down. What we could do is just back face mask, maybe smooth that down. Come in here. Try to utilize back face mask and give yourself some thickness and then rebuild. Give yourself some thickness. Depending on the level of detail you're trying to salvage, this would probably be the easiest way because you see as I rebuild, I'm pulling on one side and that back face mask is allowing me to generate thickness that otherwise would be a little bit harder to do. And then check your resolution, of course. But that would probably be the best way to fix it in Core. No, absolutely. But that's how I would approach it. Yeah. Let's see. When Max says owning ZBrush now, will perpetual license be upheld for the future? As someone who's thinking about buying a full license, sorry if it's a bit deep. No. That is a great question. And the best answer I have for you right now is that we are still selling. Maxon sells their perpetual license for ZBrush as well as subscription base. There is no new version of ZBrush right now. 2022.0.5 is the newest one. So if that's the one that you currently have and you're looking to buy a perpetual license, then go ahead and wait until the next release of ZBrush, which we'll always announce when that is coming up. So I would say is if you have an old Pixelogic license right now and you're you know, you want to stay in perpetual, then that I would say just hold that and wait for the new version of ZBrush, see all the new features and stuff. So then when you buy a perpetual license under Maxon, you get 1 year of support for that version. Just read the terms of service as they do break that down in the purchase area. So if I were to go under buy and stuff like that, when you go down to perpetual license, so here's perpetual pricing. I cannot speak. Wow. And then I have ZBrush. Here's your plan details and stuff like that. And then as well, you're gonna get all sorts of information for upgrading pricing, floating volume, contacts, you know. So feel free to contact Maxon too directly. It's a really great way of doing that. And then of course too your minimum CPU, all that good stuff. But yeah, when you hit buy now, you can go ahead and check everything out. So I would say just read the terms of service. But yes, as I understand it, it is 1 year of support for the year of purchase date, I believe. But if you have any questions about that, please, please, please reach out to Maxon, ask them. They have a team that is dedicated to answering those questions. So don't be afraid. Just like before, when we were Pixelogic, we had a support team. If you had any questions about your licensing, you could have always reached out. You could still always reach out and try to get an answer as best as possible. And as this information updates, they tell me, and then I can update you. But that's where it is. But we are still offering perpetual licensing. So if you want to have a perpetual license, even under Maxon, you can, and then that's the version that you'll have. Does that make sense? Hopefully I clarified that well. But yes, not a problem. Okay, awesome. Well, again, that is it for today's stream. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me. This is my normal stream time. I know it's a little bit confusing because we switched from my noon to 2 to 9 to 11, but it just worked out better on this side. So I do appreciate everybody showing up here. And again, and the last question of the no worries. Again, I really appreciate everybody that's here. And if you guys would like to also see any tutorials on ZBrush Core, do let me know, because again, you know, we do have Core Mini, and also to our full version of ZBrush. So, all right. Well, this has been fun. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys again, and I will catch you next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a good one. Catch you later.